Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to today's live stream. What day is it? 12/2, 12/2. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful people. Good morning, beautiful people. Yeah, get started here in just a little bit. Mhm. Good morning. Sorry. Anyways, hello. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. So, yeah, pretty much what we're looking at here this morning is, well, I don't really know. Um, yeah, so penny stock SGMO, it kind of popped up a little bit. Dip buy was down at like 44 cents for that one. PLRZ has already been off and on its way. Ooh, NRXP, is that something? No, not really. Yeah, I mean, there might be some movement in some of these other ones. I'm not really sure. Yeah, but for the time being, stock market's pretty much just in a buy move, so we're just gonna stay long the stock market as per usual. So nothing's really changed since yesterday. You're just long bias the stock market. And calendar. Yeah, I'm hoping we get some trading opportunities on some penny stocks. Can't really say I really done anything today. I mean, I bought PLRZ. I did kind of a test trade on SGMO. And that was really it. I haven't really made any money. Made like a couple dollars, really. So, I'm still holding some on UPRO, but again, nothing like no significant trade for me this morning, nothing like that. Like I said, bought PLRZ, made a decent trade on that, but again, really nothing crazy. It never really seems like I do anything crazy these days. But anyways, yeah, so to put it simply, we're long the stock market. We have had no signals to transition bearish. Um, no need to be extremely bearish unless you're just doing some short-term trading, looking for pullbacks here and there. Completely fine. Other than that, we're on the move up. What's today? Today's Tuesday, Fed price something auto sales. So no economic data that you really need to worry about. Tomorrow you got some basic stuff. I mean, yeah, nothing really huge on the economic calendar coming up. Well, I mean, internet jobless claims on Thursday is decent, but nothing to really, like, no, nothing to worry about there. When's our next CPI day? Oh, wait, what? Oh, I see. Wait, hold on. That's goofy. Never mind. Anyways, so good morning. Good morning, everyone. What a busy day we have here. What a busy day, folks. Super duper crazy morning. Yeah, so we'll jump into it. Not really jump into it, but we'll look at one other thing here. Um, which guy we're going for? So pretty much VIX. All right, we will transition maybe back to bearish if we start to see the VIX break out. So pretty straightforward, right? Here's a downtrend. Market is just below 50 SMA. So if we zoom into pre-market chart here, you'll see it's just like that. So essentially the market is in a downtrend and we're still below the 50 SMA. So as long as that's going on, most of the time we don't get harsh pullbacks. So if at any point in the next couple days we see the VIX break out, then we'll probably hesitate on the market and start to see a little bit more aggressive pulling back on the market. But until that happens, pretty much every dip is probably going to get bought and pushed up for the moment, until the market's ready to shift. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. I know it's pretty basic. I know it's probably pretty boring, but that's really all you need to know. Bitcoin, oh, nice little bounce there for our friend.
on the short term, that is. Yeah, current targets right now on Bitcoin are basically into this daily VWAP structure. So if we take a VWAP, put it on that high, and put another volume weighted average price there on that, or wait, yeah, well, that candle there. And pretty much we're just looking for the market to go back to the box. Um, that's if the bulls are successful, you know. Like their best case scenario target right now, as far as like short-term swing and trading, would be like back to there. So again, we're just doing a bounce, rollover, price action, double bottom, tradable scenario with a best case scenario there for the moment. If above, then it opens the door for the next one up and so on and so forth. But for now, just kind of hanging out. Remember, market entered a buy signal back here. So we've been long the stock market, all bias, all analysis, all forecasting has been long bias since then. Just yesterday, we did kind of see the 50 SMA catch up, which is right here. Right. So, there's that. But again, it's not like we broke it down. So there's the 50 SMA. We kind of caught it up yesterday a bit. Not really. Hold up. Did we tag that in the pre-market? No, because if wait a second. Maybe, no, we didn't. Never mind. Because it would have been here. All right. So, I mean, essentially, we would flip bearish if the market was below here, but it's not. So we just pretty much stay up for the time being. And then also same thing with the VIX. If the VIX was above the 50 SMA, we'd be breaking it out. But yeah, we're not gonna do that. So we're just staying on the long side for the moment. Anyways, good morning to you four people. Love you. Happy to have you. Good morning, Rico. How you doing? Good morning to you. It's kind of chilly in my office this morning. A freaking snow came, getting a little chill. Well, snow didn't well, it's come over the past few days, but and here's your EKTX. Let's get- Oh man. Whew. That's kind of worked out.
Very chilly, very, very chillies. Hmm. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this beautiful day. Yeah, I mean, as far as the penny stocks go, I mean, it really isn't anything. I mean, not that something won't end up working, but nothing is at our easy buy points right now this morning. But again, that's how it typically goes. Most of the time, you're not going to find a stock that's actually good to trade when you're looking. Very rarely does it happen. And that's again because computers and algorithms run the market. So you basically just have to be looking and finding something at the right moment. And that just doesn't happen as often. Yikes. Freaking chilly in this office this morning. Yeah, so for the market, again, we have current volume weighted average price from the pre-market session at about, well, wherever I drew that box and wherever it updates to. But again, that's pretty much the over under to keep momentum up in the immediate. So as long as pretty much SPY stays above where I just drew on the chart, then market's going to stay up. That green box becomes a counter target. It also becomes a break level and it becomes a dip hold level. So that's pretty much that. So yeah, we already know. Well, I mean, it's pretty much same people on the stream every day. It's how it seems. So you guys pretty much know. The way we think about this is it's pretty much anything above is up. Anything below is maybe down because again, we're not in a sell signal. So just because we go below this, we don't necessarily think down. We just think the long is kind of hesitating, if you will. But simples would be up, down, and then also. The thing is right, if you look in the pre-market, we already went up and pulled back the volume weighted average price here and bounced, right? So we no longer have this sort of first pull back long assumption, right? Because we already did that, right? Market already moved up, already pulled back too, and already went, right? So now this is more of like just an over under in that sense. So it's like this would be pull back target, potential hold support, continue. But I'm just saying it's you no longer have the first pullback. This would be a second pullback, right? But anyways, so that's pretty much how we think of that in a sense. Now, market doesn't always have to pull back to this level. A lot of times we can kind of get close, then get picked up. Doesn't have to hold it. We can come down to it, etc. But that's pretty much that. That's how we'd assume that chart is set up for the time being. So we'll just leave that on the chart for the moment, I guess.
We believe that on the chart for the moment. Oh my goodness, Bitcoin. Yay. Yay. Yeah, I don't, guess we'll just kind of keep peeking around different random stocks, see if anything is, actually, kind of, I don't know about that. See, like right now, the only thing I see right now are potential continuation setups. And what I mean by that is there is one stock that's on support, but the setup doesn't look good. It looks like one if it's right on support, but it looks like if we were to buy that one, it's just not going to work. So that's why I'm just not sure about that one. Um, then every other stock, most of what I'm looking at this morning, and when I say what I'm looking at, literally most of what the market is offering this morning is not a whole lot of things that are, well, breakouts happen and then they're gone anyway. So it's like in the moment, I haven't really been able to spot anything breaking out since the stream has started, since I've been on this morning. Um, that's not true. SGMO was the only stock that I caught that was breaking out. And I did a test trade on it because I wasn't sure. So I was kind of like just training myself on that one. But I did buy SGMO this morning at like 46 cents or whatever. Um, Traded it up only to about 50 cents. But that's one that I did kind of catch today that kind of broke out and was kind of doing a back test, but it was a small test trade. Um, but yeah, so most of what I've seen today, really, we haven't had back tests of support on much. Didn't really catch anything breaking out in the moment. And now everything is kind of like, right? It's would either need a pullback to support or would just have to continue and go. And that's always kind of where you start to get a little sketchy on trading when it comes to, at least, penny stocks for that matter too. Well, anything really. It's like you play the game. Well, you're not at a breakout, you're not on a back test. Will it continue? That's what you're playing for. And that's how it seems a lot of things are set up this morning, or they're waiting for, more support tags. So it just seems like nothing's quite set up the way we'd really want. This one's kind of interesting. Keep going back to this one here, but it doesn't have a ton of activity on it this morning. Not a lot of volume. So it's just, it's kind of one of those ones where it's like no one's looking at it, but it could be decent. I haven't pulled the trigger on that again, but it's not like the best setup. Like I said, I just haven't really seen a whole lot that I'm crazy about. Then again, I never really get crazy about anything. But there are moments where you do look at something like, well, that would be dumb not to try and trade that. So, but I haven't had that feeling yet this morning. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, let me zoom in on this chart here so you guys can kind of get a feel for it. Oh, chilly, chilly, chilly. Oh, maybe that's because, well, never mind.
Let's go, baby. Come on, market. Do something fun today. Give us at least something decent. All right. Market has now pulled back into said target pretty much. I mean, it's got a little more to go, but you guys get the point. Job well done, team. Job well done. I'm sure there's some YouTube stream going on somewhere on the internet. And what's the market's pulling back? Ah, it's crazy. All right, stock market's open. We've pretty much pulled back to our kind of desired pullback level. This is also our support over under. We didn't quite fully tag the VWAP levels, whatever, but just in general, right? And a generalization, that's what we're kind of looking for. Would be a pullback and then continuation long. If in the event that we were to break down, that would be lame. But right now, I mean, I've been, again, like I said, I got to watch the volatility index and so on and so forth. All right, so again, we've pulled back into said target. Now, this is pretty much where we'd look at like a 1 minute chart and we'll see if there is any sort of sign that the market wants to hold and bounce here and whatever. What we should also be doing is looking at the market internals here. I'm going to move this to another chart just for a second, or another screen. Right now, there is kind of hard to tell because it's 2 minutes into the day, but right now we don't have green candles on the Magnificent Seven, so it always makes it harder for the market to bounce. So we would like to see some green come in on the Magnificent Seven like right now, and if it did, then we'd probably hold the bottom here. So if I bring maybe like this chart over, I'll try and like enlarge it a bit. That's not really doing us any good. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I'm just gonna move some stuff around for a second so we can kind of see this all in one. All right. That's decent. I don't know. Let's just do that. I don't even know what, get off my chart, whatever, it's there. All right, so you can kind of see how we have a green candle here on the Mag 7, and you see how the market's holding there into our support like that. And there's a scalp trade. If you scalped it, you would have won there. But I mean, we don't have like a super dominant bullish market at the open, right? If we look, the S&P issues are starting with two red candles. We have a red and like a green on the Mag 7, and we got some red here on the NYC. So it's not an extremely bullish open as we've come into that first pullback target. Doesn't mean things won't shape up, doesn't mean things won't change, but right now we don't have, what we would call an extremely bullish open. If we did, everything would be running together. But we also don't have a bearish open yet because, again, usually you would need the Magnificent Seven to be red. Right now, they're kind of just holding flat and sideways, which again won't always lead to a market pullback. So that's where my attention's at right here is this middle left screen. You can see it pretty much we're just dojiing out. With these dojiing out, even some red candles on the NYSE and the SPY aren't going to be enough to basically take the SPY down. We would need red pretty much on all three of these screens for this market to end up kind of coming down. And so we got, S&P selling off, NYSE selling off, but Magnificent Seven are just sideways, so markets aren't going to go down for the moment, most likely. There you go. Market's still getting held up. So we'll kind of zoom out a little bit back to the 30-minute just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So you can see how we have all the little cute drawings on the screen, whereas again, market pull back in too. Look for bounce to hold up. So far that's happening. Do we get a full, move to the upside? We'll see at the end of the day. Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. We market go up as EA. So you guys can see this. Look at this big kind of bouncing move off our support. Look at the screen here that I'm kind of focused on and I'm circling, well, if you want to, you don't need to. It's just a Magnificent Seven chart. Again, those are holding sideways and flat. And then basically a big green candle and there's our market go up as EA. Woo. Um, I don't know if there's any news related with that, if Trump tweeted something, or if there's economic data. Maybe there is, whatever. But pretty straightforward. Again, the market's in a buy signal. Most of the time, the market will just move in the direction of our major market cap stocks. And that green box right there, that's our expected pullback 30-minute volume weighted average price target as it normally is every single day. So market is doing everything we'd expect it would normally do on any given day. So thumbs up, market's working well. Cheers. Hope you guys are having a good day. Once again, we have just predicted the largest globally traded stock market ETF in the world, in the sense that we had the pullback target figured out and the support level figured out all before stock market even opened. And we knew exactly which market to watch for kind of confirmation and sort of trust, if you will, right? We were able to look, I mean, think about it. We were seeing the S&P go down, New York Stock Exchange go down, look super bearish, but we knew that it's probably not going to go down because we can tell that the Magnificent Seven stocks are holding, so there's no reason to really be bearish. I mean, the VIX isn't signaling to be bearish. I mean, there's really nothing there behind the scenes that would say, "Oh, take a short, smash a short." Yeah. Well, obviously you have this pullback, right? So like that worked, right? That pullback obviously worked, but then into the open, there's really nothing down here. It's saying like slam a short, right? So cheers. Job well done, team. Job well done. Proud of you guys. Hold on, everybody. Got a phone call coming in.
Sorry about that, folks. We're back online. We're back online. Oh, put all this kind of back in order. Hmm. We do got the VIX right now currently. So, well, no, that's the VVIX. I was gonna say we do see a little bit of. I was gonna say there's. I don't want to call it hedging. There isn't really hedging going on, but I would say it's hard to say. I am reading some things on the VVIX, which would suggest that maybe some smarter traders are trying to basically top the SPY there a little bit, which clearly they already have, but how aggressive they're going to be, I'm not sure. But I can see that the VVIX is signaling that we should be a little bearish on the top of that market for a second. So I'll show you real quick what I'm reading. So this right here, see how see how the VVIX here is basically pin drop supported this 50 SMA. That's the 15-minute chart. So this is a short term level, right? So we're not looking at the market to break down here, but we can see in real time there's probably computers that are using the VVIX. We're supporting 15-minute 50 SMA. And what that's allowing us to do is top this market here a little bit into a pullback by using volatility support. Um, that's really it. I mean, again, like I said, this isn't a signal that we would be like, oh, the market's just going to get imploded, just get destroyed. That's not it. Occasionally 15-minute charts can lead to things like that, but it's never what we really think, right? We just see that in the short term, there's probably algorithms using this 15-minute VVIX. We're kind of topping the market here a little bit. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much that. But remember, right, we only look for more serious pullbacks on the market when we start to break out the 30-minute, right? So that's kind of it. And if the VVIX there holds that support, we pull the market back a little bit. We would then really be looking at the VIX's 15-minute, right? So what we were just looking at was VVIX. What we were looking at here is VIX. So if the VVIX ends up bottoming the 15-minute and doing a pretty much a 15-minute shakedown, we might see this VIX chart get pressed up to the 15-minute there. Because you can kind of see here, right? It broke over yesterday and then this morning it broke down. Theoretically does not have a live back test. Not that it has to, but we just know that in terms of SMA algorithmic talk, there's no back test of that 50 SMA. So it becomes a plausible thing that, could happen. All right. But actually, I'm not even sure. Did it backtest in the pre-market? That might be a little. Yeah, we kind of did in the pre. Man, not really. Even in the pre-market after, it really just broke down. We didn't backtest there. I mean, so kind of shied. But either way, um, it's not like we're looking for the market just to get spanked here. Again, the market's in a buy signal. We don't have confirmation that the market wants to break out, or sorry, break down. Excuse me. Until VVIX and VIX actually break out. Um, we shouldn't see anything too harsh of a pullback on the market. Nah, I'm saying, dude. Nah, I'm saying. So far today, pretty much well, maybe not. You little turd burger. I mean, yeah, pretty much everything since the open is pretty much lame on penny stocks. You really haven't had anything even move since the open. Been a really boring day in that regard. I'm sure the let's see GPU. So now I'm kind of searching the low end of things. Hmm. Again, guys, like we said, we're just seeing some VVIX move or VVIX move, just a little bit of a, oh, that's interesting. 15-minute, 15. Oh, that is interesting. Hmm. Yeah. I was gonna say I see divergence in VVIX now in VIX, and I don't know what to make of it yet. The VIX is kind of expressing fear, but the VVIX isn't, which is just weird, especially in this situation. Volatility of volatility does not suggest to be that fearful here. So I don't know. Part of me feels like the VIX is wrong here, and this is just going to get bought up. And anyone shorting into this low is going to get pushed out or something like that. Hmm. We'll see. We will see. Yes, so back to searching for anything on planet Earth that looks decent here in the old PSOC world. Yeah, we do see. Yeah, I mean, wasn't really looking too close to this, but pretty much for the past however many minutes, you can see the Fang have been going down. So if I just enlarge this, you guys can see Fang moving down, Magnificent Seven moving down. So obviously, market is struggling. But the VVIX does not imply that this is like a true pullback. Um, yes, I would just read that as smarter traders aren't really seeing this as a severe pullback right now. Because so, you know, doesn't mean it can't turn into something crazy, but for the moment, yeah, the smarter bunch is not reading this as we should be extremely worried about this. Wow. So, so exciting here this morning. Yeah, no, shoot, not really a whole lot to mention here. There's no confirmation of a sell move. As I mentioned, shorts are probably going to get pushed out if they're trying to short that bottom, and there they go. Granted, it doesn't really mean a whole lot of like one candle up, but you know. Well, let's see what's going on with our friend Bitcoin. Oh, yay, Bitcoin's going up. And that's heck, it's almost to the long target we talked about this morning. Would you look at that? Weird. So, maybe a little more room to go there or so, but it's pretty much completed like 90, 80%. 70, 80, 70 to 90% of its long target there. All right, so you should pretty much expect the VIX is trying to get up to about that 1690s, as we kind of talked about a little bit ago, the back test of the 15 minute. So this down move in the market is what's going to allow the VIX to go up, back test 1690. The other thing too, let's just double check. Yeah, VIX or not VIX, but market's still in that volume weighted average price zone that we talked about. But if you see, if we go to like say like a 5 minute, you can see, well, if we go to back to the 30 minute, right, and you kind of see how that picture is drawn, like pull back into and bounce out. We've already done that essentially, right? If you go to a 5 minute, you can see it's right there where we pulled back into and bounced out. So that's already happened, right? So it's not like we're necessarily looking for that. But anyways, we're still in that volume weighted average price support over under. VIX does not really signal we're supposed to be extremely bearish. Still below the 15-minute chart. VIX would have to break out the 15-minute or something like that to even make me think something else other there. But yeah, so same old, same old. Market's in a buy signal. VIX does not quite express that the market's going to just implode yet or get destroyed. It's still a buy signal. See, let me bring down the volatility index chart for you guys. See, but what you can see, right, we talked about is how the VIX does not have a back test of the 15-minute chart. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to get it, but that's just how algorithms think, right? So if we look, say, like, let's go to a 1 minute. So that would be the most recent breakdown of the VIX. So if we were to go up and back test, that would be completely normal, right? Um, so that's that. And then also we were using the VVAX down here and it's 15 minute to basically create this pullback, in my opinion. So as we were coming down into, so if you look at like this, right? So this 15-minute level was our current kind of VIX VVAX target. So it goes down, bounces, etc. And this is starting to fade out, right? So volatility of volatility is fading, but at the same time, you have volatility expressing a little bit more fearful. So it's kind of interesting. Personally, I think the VIX chart is wrong, and I think the VPIX is right, which is we're not supposed to be that fearful of this pullback, which basically means dip will get bought um, until we start to express true fear in the market. And I don't think we've expressed that yet. So far, dip's been bought right into the support over under. And the fact, I mean that's pretty much it. You can see right back down into and straight back out of. So it doesn't mean that it won't break down at some point. It just means obviously right now it hasn't. And yeah.
The YouTube chat's going crazy today, dude. YouTube chat's going crazy.
Oh no, what market's going up? That's crazy. Who would have thought support was going to be there this morning before the stock market even opened? That's crazy. Oh, I gotta love it. Who would have thought the shorts were going to trap themselves down there and get squeezed out because the market's not actually expressing fear yet? Ah, gotta love those bear flags. They are oh so good. Holy schmoly, look at that bouncer Magoo. Thanks for letting me know support was going to be there, Rico and Diamond. Demonex. If it weren't for you guys, I would have never known that that was going to be support and shorts are going to get pushed out. Well, that was a nice bouncer, McGooster McGee. 5 minute chart and SPY is still positive. Only thing down is going to be tech. The 1 minute's not even bearish, right? If you look at the 1 minute, you can see the 1 minute trend still positive, right? Up, over, still haven't broken that down. So there's literally not even the 1 minute time frame's bearish on the on the market. Grant doesn't mean that those things can't change, I'm just saying. All right, so if we're looking at UPRO, which is always what I mentioned to you guys about, basically using this as your vehicle for the market since it gets 3x the return. So from our last buy signal on the market is about right here. I think I could be off by a little bit, but should be right there. So this is giving you an 11% return over the past like week or so. If you traded it perfectly, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But bottom line, if you were to use this with a combination of the system that the market provides, not me, not, it's this is the system. You'd make 11% here on the market today, just over the past week or so, you get about an 11% return. All right. So not bad. Now, if you bought options or futures, you can make more than that. Again, it's whatever vehicle you want to use to move your money in and out of, be my guest. But anyways, just in general, it's an 11% return there on the market by following the SPX system, which basically said you should be looking to be long bias the market since there. If you look at the SPY or SPX, they put in 3.38% return if you go back to UPRO. So you could have traded the market up for about a 3.5% return, or you could have used this for an 11% return. Right? So again, if you're going to beat the market, then you have to get a bigger return than the market. You need more alpha than the market, right? I can't beat the market this year by buying the market, right? How would that doesn't even make sense. So if you're going to beat the market returns, you have to either buy individual stocks that do better than the market. You have to buy leveraged instruments that provide you significant returns, like options and futures and things like that, if you will. Or you need to buy something that gives you more leverage and alpha than that of the SPY. So you could find yourself a little happy medium, kind of like UPRO, 3x leverage ETF. SPY goes up 3, this goes up 11. So just this alone, you'd be beating the market this week, right? So, and this is what I've used over this past I've been using this for a while, but specifically this little small account I use while I'm on stream with you guys. Yeah, it's up almost should be up like 40, it's up 48%, 47%, something like that. And a lot of that return has come from just buying 3x leverage ETF, some little penny stocks here and there. But yeah, so my account's going to be up about 48% this year. The market, I forget, I check it every once in a while, but it's probably up like maybe 20%. Well, if we're almost back to all-time highs. Yeah, I think it's going to be up close to 20% or something this year. So far beating it by 28%. And a lot of that is due to being able to get a bigger return than the market by using the leverage ETF on top of the market. So you're taking the same strategy for the SPY and you're just using this leverage ETF to get a little bit more alpha. Mm-mm-mm. Oh my goodness, look at the market going up, guys. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So real quick, I want to emphasize what we just talked about because it is kind of important, right? So you heard me talking about VVIX, the VIX, and SPY, and blah 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 blah. All right. So what is that? That is these two charts here, and I'm gonna delete this stuff. Clear drawing set. So you have the VIX and VVIX. So you have volatility of volatility, and you have volatility. Basically, you can just think of VIX as the expression of fear in the market, and VVIX is the anticipation of fear in the market, right? So just like a little bit ago, what did we see? We saw well, let me turn this to a 1 minute as well. All right, so what did we just see a little bit ago on fear and um, anticipation or preparation of fear? Well, what we saw was for a moment, the anticipation of fear and fear were moving in lockstep. And I would say that was because of the anticipation of fear hitting support. So the anticipation of fear hit support. We started to bounce. As a result, fear started to increase. But shortly after, we started to kind of fade the anticipation of fear, while at the same time, the VIX fear tried to increase. So we started to get some divergence there in volatility markets. Um, and generally speaking, not all the time, but generally speaking, volatility are going to be smarter players paying attention to that, if you will. When I say smarter, it's not that's just the truth. I mean, the reality is most retail aren't watching VVIX, right? Um, but it's where hedging takes place, right, et cetera. So what we saw there is like arguably a little bit of hedging for bearish activity, but not enough so to be convincing that we would like roll the market over or anything like that. So the market right there on that last dip, the fear was getting a little like the fear was outpacing the anticipation, right? So we were getting divergence there. And for me, I would say that the VVIX was more true than the VIX. Therefore, when I saw that the anticipation of fear is actually leaving the market, but somehow the fear is still elevated, it told me that dip was probably going to get bought, right? Whereas if the anticipation of fear was still increasing with fear, then I would have said, that dip might kind of get sold into some more. Um, but yeah, so just little small things like that can kind of help you out through the day. So like I said, VVIX and VIX, very good to have use in combination together. And the reason this is called the beginner friendly stock market stream is because it is beginner friendly. We're teaching you how to just basically use two charts together to help you avoid shorting into a dip like that. So you could go study patterns that tell you, hey, if the market breaks the support short and you would have got caught in that low and then squeezed out, or you could come to a beginner friendly trading stream like this that tells you, hey, just use these two charts in lockstep and avoid getting caught in a dip like that. So it's more beginner friendly because it's going to help a beginner faster. But some of the stuff may be a little tricky to learn at first, but yeah, it's more beginner friendly to your pockets is what it is. If you want to start losing money faster, then you would essentially look for patterns. Whoa, wait. Oh, that's up there. Any hooser, I gotta hit the old bathroom, so I will be right back.
Dude, chili, burr. You know what? I know exactly what's happening. My thermostat reset itself to 68 again, even though I kind of want it at 70 right now because it's damn chilly. Um, yeah. So we have a Nest, which I can't speak more poorly about. It's been terrible. So don't buy a Nest thermostat. Yeah. So we used to have it on like a schedule, like an eco-friendly whatever, and then basically in the winter it's always like going setting itself back to 68, 67, or whatever it is, even though we want it at 70. Then we delete the eco-friendly mode, right? Turn it off, and then we delete any like previous history for scheduling it to, go to a certain temperature at one time and change or whatnot. So we like completely deleted all these scheduled time intervals and temperature changes, and then set it to 70. And then next thing you know, it's back to 68. And then so it's like it's resetting itself, even though we've deleted all the history out of it. So it's like, don't really know what's going on. So long story short, don't buy a Nest.
Oh, my bad. I was muted there for a hot second. Didn't mean to. Whatever. I don't even care. I'll be here tomorrow. Hmm. Hmm. Man, YouTube, y'all YouTube must just absolutely hate us. We love you, YouTube. We love you. Yeah, a hot minute ago, I was explaining stuff with PLRZ. Pretty much was just emphasizing that on a day like today, there's pretty much nothing running. Everyone gravitated to PLRZ, made it overcrowded. And so, pretty much ever since it broke out this morning and had its first good setups, I just pretty much avoided it. No point. It's just too overcrowded. Meh. Ooh, Bitcoin just hit our long target. Wee. So for those of you that started this morning and were on stream with us, you guys know that we talked about the current long target destination for the old shitcoin being back up to there. So job well done, team. Me, you, we have just predicted one of the largest globally traded digital currencies in the world price target before it happened. Yay! Thumbs up. Good job, team. Oh, no, don't want to do that. I mean, just what are the odds? Largest globally traded digital currency, largest globally traded ETF in the market. Predict both today to a T. That's just pure luck. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. How much foresight analysis do we need? Look at our cute drawing from this morning, as we discussed. That was how beautiful. Before market open, we pretty much say this. It's above here is long, below there is short, and you're gonna look for, well, we deleted it, but you would look for a pullback in and then out of. So if you go back to the beginning of today's start of the stream, you pretty much see this is exactly how we drew the market, and it's worked out almost exactly perfectly. That's cool. That doesn't always happen, but that's pretty cool. I love when my stock market YouTube streamers draw on the chart exactly what should slash could happen, and it happens before it happens. That's always fun. That is the type of entertainment I like. A genie in a bottle, crystal ball predictions coming true day after day. That is fun. We will be here all week, folks. All year, and probably all next year. Well, maybe. We'll see. I don't can't say that for sure, but dude, we are crushing today. That's all I gotta say. We're just absolutely crushing, dudes. Just straight crushing magoos. Look at our friend shitcoin. I mean, what are the odds? No, what's crazy is if we go look at the news right now, it's probably gonna say like Bitcoin surges back to 90,000, even though this morning we're like, yeah, that's the long target. So let's just see if Bitcoin news has now followed our predictions. It's usually how that goes. Bitcoin news today. Maybe not. It might be too soon for that because it like just happened, but we'll see. Wait, where? Oh, I typed that in wrong. No wonder why I made something don't seem right. What? Why would you be telling me about the stock market when I don't know about Bitcoin? Yeah, I don't know. It's not really. It's pulling up a bunch of random stock market stuff, which is just weird. Hmm. Well, anyways. Yeah, it's funny. They're mixing in Bitcoin news with stock market news, which is not normal. I mean, it kind of is in a way because generally when volatility is in the market, like Bitcoin's going down, or just in general, like a lot of times when Bitcoin volatility starts to spike up, it can start to mimic the stock market a little bit, but I don't know why they're doing that. But we are starting to kind of see a little bit like 21 minutes ago, US stock market rebounds today. Dow and S&P 500 Nasdaq are rising as Wall Street steadies on Nvidia and Bitcoin gains. Right. So obviously, and like look at here, right? Well, just in general, right? Stock market today, Nasdaq lead gains, Bitcoin holds below 90,000 or whatever. Bitcoin holds below 90,000 10 minutes ago. Which clearly it's not below 90,000. It's actually above 90,000 now. So whoever said that at the Wall Street Journal is just a knucklehead. Dow falls 400 points, snaps 5-day win streak as crypto slide dense sent. That was 18 hours ago, so that's kind of old. But predominantly bullish news there. But figures, right? Because why? Because stock market's in a buy signal, so things are going up. So generally you see bullish news. But yeah, I'd imagine. as long as Bitcoin holds around 90,000 or so, probably by the end of the day, not really the end of the day, but really, probably the end of the day. As long as we kind of hold around 90,000 by the end of the day, it's going to give people at the Wall Street Journal, it's going to give these talking heads time to write new articles and kind of send them out. So it's just a little soon for them to get their news out. Again, they can't see price action before it happens. They can only report on what's happened after it's already happened. So we just got to give them a little bit of time to catch up, and then we'll probably start seeing more articles about Bitcoin hitting 90,000 today, 91,000, surging to 91,000 for who knows what. Again, they're gonna what who knows what they're gonna make up exactly. It's gonna be something along the lines of Bitcoin surges to 90,000, Bitcoin hits 91,000 as who knows. Uh, like I don't keep up with the Bitcoin news like behind the scenes of what's going on, but whatever's currently going on behind the scenes that I don't really know about, they're just going to use. So again, like we said this morning, Bitcoin kind of had a potential target back to 90, 91,000. So we should see articles come out today about that happening, as long as it holds near that level. And even if it doesn't, right? You very well could have some little, college graduate student, just got out of college, with her writing degree or whatever, is just moved over to CNBC today and she's going to write an article. She's starting to right now. Bitcoin hits 91,000 as traders come back strong, right? And theoretically, by the end of the day, it could get slapped all the way back down, right? It's probably not going to happen, but it could, right? So if she goes ahead and writes an article right now about it running to 90,000, she could basically look like a silly head in 5 hours from now as we reject out of resistance, because remember, all long targets can be good resistance points. So generally speaking, as we blow Bitcoin up into this 90,000 mark, we just hit our long target, which long targets can then be resistance, right? So if she goes and pumps out an article right now about hitting 91,000, then we could very well be selling the market down out of resistance within a day's time, right? So she can't sell too much hopium. So what happens is they pretty much are selling hopium to the market right as we hit the targets, right? So that's kind of the dangerous thing about those articles. But my assumption is that we're pretty much going to be kind of holding here for a little bit. Regardless, we're probably going to see some articles tonight and leading into tomorrow about Bitcoin hitting 91,000 and whatever. Yeah, because like most of what I'm seeing right now is all stuff from like 10, like that's another thing from like 10, 17 or 17, 10 hours to 17 hours ago. Like for example, AP News, Bitcoin briefly dips below 85,000 in crypto, but now it's back to 90,000. Like why didn't you write last night that Bitcoin had the opportunity to go back to 90,000, 91,000 when it was dipping below 85,000? See, that's the articles that AP News should be putting out. Um, you know, so yeah, we'll see. Bitcoin is slumping again. Its biggest corporate owner admits it may have to sell, blah, blah, blah. Bloomberg, Michael Saylor's Bitcoin hype machine is glitching out. Oh, these people. Everyone want to put Michael Saylor on his high horse and praise him for the past couple years, and now as soon as Bitcoin goes through a little pullback, it's glitching out. It's glitching out, right? Imagine if everyone in the world, as soon as someone met some sort of resistance, just left your side, right? All your friends, your family. Right? Yeah. What a terrible, terrible way to live your life. Bloomberg. Just the expected bear market comes, Bitcoin goes down a little bit, and here is Bloomberg just to ring out Michael Saylor because they have no soul. And then, next Bitcoin hits 250 grand. Michael Saylor's a genius. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever. But remember guys, when Bitcoin hits a long target, you always expect first tag resistance. I hope it doesn't really sell out of here because I'd rather it kind of stay up a little bit so that we can just giggle when all the news organizations talk about it. But that's kind of it. That's the dangerous thing if they start releasing articles right now, because we know that pretty much these two levels are our long target and our potential resistance start. So like I said, right here, this is the long target. So this would be T1 and this would be T2. And we pretty much expect as we reach it, that's where kind of like some choppier pullbacks happen. You might get a pullback out of, etc. So we've met the long target. We got to let the profit take happen for short-term traders and then let the short-term traders who want to try to predict the top or a little bit of a pullback here get in short it, do their thing, but etc. Right. So that long target hit, let your first initial knee-jerk reactions take place, and if we stabilize up here, then we'll see articles come out about, 91K and whatever. So that's pretty much that. That's all I gotta say there. 10:35. We got about 25 more minutes for the stream. Not that it really matters. Oh no, the market came down. Don't know why. Don't really care. I already know, behind the scenes. Oh, some of the Magnificent Seven sold off. That's a no-brainer. If we go look at the volatility index, probably just did the 15-minute back test as we discussed. Yep, so pretty straightforward. VIX is where we said it could pretty much go to, so that's it right there. Here's your 15-minute trend. There was no back test since the breakdown, so we finally got the back test. As a result, they sold the market down. Let's see what the VVIX is doing. Is VVIX confirming the VIX right now? 5 to 50. Oh, well, that's right, because it was already on support, so we're using the 15-minute, yeah. So basically, we just hit resistance on the VIX potentially, so we might end up seeing a little bit of a bounce here on the market. It just kind of depends if the VIX is going to hold resistance here or not. If it does, if the VIX ends up holding resistance, give or take, right on this 15-minute trend, then we're going to see the market bounce a little bit. So this is kind of it. We're looking at the VIX right now, and the VIX on its 15-minute over under. So right there, that's the VIX 15-minute over under. All right, so ultimately, if the VIX holds resistance, the market should do a little bit of a bottom bounce. If the VIX ends up breaking out and sustaining, then we might trigger a little bit more of a pullback today. But right now, we're pretty much in the phase of does the market actually want to pull back a little more, or are we just going to use the VIX and hit resistance and bounce the market again? And I'm pretty much on the side of we're probably going to bounce the market again. Only because it's a 15-minute trend. If it was a 30-minute trend, I'd be a little bit more scared. We'll see. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like say when I look at the market internals here, it's not like I mean, we are definitely seeing a sell-off there a little bit on the Mag 7. So that's kind of it too. It's like, yes, we're looking at the VIX to maybe get some resistance here, but also simultaneously, also you need the selling pressure to stop on the Magnificent Seven. Those start to get picked up again. Arguably any sort of long bias movement on your S&P issues, your NYC issues be good. But as far as that goes, we'll see. So we're still not like full blown bounce because we need the Magnificent Seven or some S&P stuff to start kind of performing a little better. If they don't perform better, then the VIX ends up breaking out the 15-minute trend, and we're going to see the market kind of, you know, be a little lackluster. But we'll see. Time will tell. Always does. Guess we'll move this back out of the way, or well, shrink this like that. Let me double check where the 30 minutes at too. Probably not too far away. All right, 1 second. Real quick too, I do want to discuss this because it's probably the time to start thinking about this, is the transfer to the 30 minute. So in the event we do a legitimate 15-minute breakout, we could be looking at a $17.38 target here. Let me double check the VVIX. Whoa, let's bring that back. Whoa, what is the deal here? There we go. Granted, I can't say it's going to happen for sure. Hasn't even really triggered yet. Let me see this guy, and here's this one. Hey, look at the market. Nice little bouncer Magoo there. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have frickin' thought, my dudes? Um, but yeah, like I was gonna say, is we always have the rule, which is pretty much if the 15-minute breaks out, we go 30-minute. But right now, the 15-minute isn't fully broken out, so that hasn't really happened. But it's always kind of in the back of your mind, right? So, which is if we were to actually see how the market is, look at ready, see how the market's rejecting here on the VIX. That's why I said you should go long. Well, I didn't say you should do anything. I was just saying that's why I think we're gonna bounce the market here, because we could read that this right here, this back test of the price of 1689, 1690s on the VIX is really just a resistance test of the 15-minute trend. Now, you could break out and you could go over later and yada 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 yada. But that was the first tag resistance check, so that's why we're going to bet down on the VIX and go long on the market there. And if in the event later we were to get above, then we could start looking for a target up to the 30 minute, but that's not going on right now. Holy cow, who would have thought it was going to bounce there, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, holy cow, did we just predict the largest globally traded stock market in the world again? No way. That's crazy. Not only did we predict the largest globally traded stock market ETF in the world, but we also used one of the largest globally followed volatility index markets to help predict the largest globally traded stock market. What? That's crazy. Oh gosh, I love sitting here in my sweatpants, looking at candlesticks go up and down, drinking my coffee. Mm, so much fun. Well, look at that bounce. I mean, seriously, who saw that coming? God darn it. Thank you, Rico. Thank you, Diamond. You guys are the best. Dimox. Demox. However you say your name. Thank you guys. Honestly, if it weren't for you, then I would have never caught that bounce right there. Like, honestly. Gonna have to put you guys as beneficiaries on my retirement accounts now. Dang it. Remember, guys, you're not supposed to be able to know what the market's gonna do before it does it. You can't know that. Nobody can know that. Nobody knows what's gonna happen to the market, which is kind of true. No one really does. But you can't have a good idea. There's no way on planet Earth you could ever look at the volatility index, learn the trends of the market, and understand that that was going to be a bounce. There's no way to know that.
Unless you listen to Rico and a demon, a diamond. Holy Magoo, holy Magoo. Let's bring up the spy chart real quick, just because it's kind of. Or wait, let's go back to my other chart. I mean, look at that, guys. You see that big old whack candle? Look at that. The market just got whacked, and here we are by the dip. All right. No fear. No fear. Why? Because the market doesn't tell me to be fearful right now. There's not strong enough fear in the market yet. But when there is, we will not buy the dip. But remember, right? So what is the retail trading books and everything tell you? It would be like, oh, this was support, right? So look, you have support on the day in this area. When you break that, go short. Okay, so we break that down, we go scammed. Not to mention, retail was looking at this going, look, guys, support was built here on the day. So if we break it down, short. Mind you, we were the ones here that created that support and said it would be there before it was even there. So remember, pre-market, we said we're going to look to pull the market back here, then we're going to look to support this yellow box. We did that. So we created the visual price point for retail later in the day here. Well, and here. So essentially, our estimated support price target pullback destination we discussed in pre-market ended up being the support bounce location pretty much all day long, right? So essentially, the level that we have picked to bottom the world's largest globally traded stock market today ended up working. As a result, it created a visual low interpretation point for the market, very much so for retail today. So you got to think, right? Before the stock market opens, we say pull the market back to here, look for support there. We pull the market back, we get support. That first bounce creates a low a day. That first low a day bounce creates retail's horizontal price point strategy looking, right? Um, so yeah, when you pick good points, you start to create the market structures, right? And when you start to create the market structures, then you create the patterns to a degree. When you create the patterns, you know how retail is going to view your setups or look at the market, if you will. Because they are taught to look horizontally, left and right, scam, bullshit, to a degree. That's don't listen to that stuff. I mean, you do look left, obviously, right? But just don't look left for support and resistance. It just doesn't work that way. Um, so, all I can say is we created the support today. We helped retail create their horizontal price points to the sideways, the low a day. We essentially created the first low a day levels, right? Our levels created the low of days to start the day, which then created that horizontal structure for people to kind of start playing with and whatever. But man, look at that. I mean, look at that breakdown short that the trading pattern books would have got you involved in. Such a great scammed. Mm, gotta love it. Good stuff. Anywho, I think yeah, probably gonna call it here for the day. I think we've done pretty good as far as mapping off the market and everything involved in between. We've essentially kept you on the right side of the market for the entire week. Um, we kept you on the right side of the market today. We even gave you the points to buy all day long. Not one of them was incorrect, so that's good. I always like when you do good in that front. So yeah, anyways, cheers. Catch you guys back tomorrow. We'll continue predicting the market day in and day out, most likely, until our systems fail, which they could. I hope they don't. But yeah, we'll keep predicting the markets as we normally do every single day for you guys for free here on YouTube.